Hello and welcome to my evaluation of my opening sequence titled I'm Sorry. So question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? Okay, so as you can see here, I chose to present the title of my film through the use of something my character is actually involved in during the sequence. This is a method which I feel is quite unusual. Typically to the genre, the title is kept quite plain and simple, nothing flashy, so it matches the style of the film. I felt that by calling it I'm Sorry, it instantly sets the tone for the film and can create a relationship between the audience and the main character, perhaps by making you feel sorry for his situation. This adds to the story and improves it greatly. Location was an area of the film I felt was most conventional to the social realism genre. Typically, most films in the genre feature very dull, almost miserable looking areas. Luckily, my hometown is quite a plain, simple place, so with the cloudy British weather, I was able to gain the desired effect. I used the eyeline match shot to present a location to the audience so they can understand the setting of the film. I also felt that this particular view of the area reflected the character's feelings of the time. It looks reasonably bland and depressing, very unimpressive, which adds again to the effect of the sequence. The depressing sight is a reflection of the boy's feelings. I wanted my character to look quite plain and simple, as this should be what would be expected from someone in this area. You wouldn't expect to see him wandering around in a suit, just as you wouldn't expect shorts and a t-shirt. The clothing is weather appropriate, so it does not look out of place in the film, and again, just as with the location, is a reflection of the boy's feelings. It is very conventional attire for my genre. I think it helps to build a personality around him. These three particular shots that I'm about to show are an example of the way I used the conventions of social realism in the style of my opening sequence. All three shots are very long and drawn out, which match the slow-paced style you would expect from a social realism film. Examples of this would be in films such as Submarine or Dead Man's Shoes. Both use extremely long scenes to build up different emotions and get the audience thinking. If used correctly, you can't help but be drawn in by the power of some of the scenes. The intention of mine was to put across the sense of a long journey the boy was now starting, heading off into the world on his own. Again, extremely conventional, my titles are very straightforward and simple. This relates to the style of my film, and is not at all uncommon in most films of the genre. For example, Dead Man's Shoes, no effects or particularly abnormal fonts, just simple presentation and careful placement. My story is introduced through a narration from a main character. This is something which has been done a few times in the past, an example of which would be in Submarine. The main character narrates his feelings to the audience, which helps to introduce the story, much in the same way as mine. By using this method, it helps to form an important relationship between the audience and the main character. This strengthens the overall story in my opinion. Using narration from a main character also means I was able to empathise the emotions he would be going through. It is a much more direct approach to explaining the film, which I think definitely fits well with the opening sequence. Genre is explained to the audience through many different ways. The most prominent method would have to be the long-lasting scenes which are conventional to the genre. It is reasonably slow-paced, so the story can unfold at a suitable rate, keeping the audience informed and interested at all times. There's a small amount of ambient sound as well featured in my sequence. However, where it is used, it's used in a manner which builds on the power of the particular scenes. An example of this would be, while the boy is on the train, with just a narration, the scene did not have a desired effect, so by using the sound of the train rolling over the tracks, I felt it worked quite well to suggest the quiet, isolated nature of the boy. Location played a vital role in presenting the genre, because it used convention so strongly, it worked perfectly to suggest the genre. The bland, depressing areas alongside the cloudy British weather were the utmost importance when emphasising the boy's feelings and suggesting genre. Almost all films of this genre can use the same sort of locations and weather for their desired effects, as you can see.